Hello, everyone. Happy Monday, and welcome back to the Skin Scoop podcast. I'm your host, Lexis.
And I'm your host, Madison.
And today we have a very, very special guest. I know I say this with everyone, but you are very special and we love you so much. So we have Shelby here who wears many, many hats. She is a CEO, mom, wife, all the things. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you, ladies, both so much for having me. I love nothing more than being on a podcast and talking to two excellent women and just talking about life and kind of getting back to the roots of why we do it all. I'm excited to be able to share some of the whys and the passion in what I do, and hopefully be able to convey some of that passion into what other people are doing. And that's kind of my purpose in it all, is to hopefully inspire someone's story to be able to take action on their own dreams.
Oh my gosh, you're so cute. I'm so excited. So today we're just essentially talking about creating the life that wants you back. If you follow Shelby on social media, she talks a lot about finding your why. Obviously, you have a social media presence, but doing so in a way that is fulfilling and you get to be authentically you. Tell us a little bit about yourself kind of before the rental stuff that you got into, the real estate, HCC.
Where do I begin? Okay. I think that the most important part of, I guess, the turning point in my chapter or my story is that when I became a mom, I had this burning desire to ensure that I was able to have a life set up so that I could be present for her. And that meant a lot of different things 7 years ago when I was pregnant with her. Notably, my father passed away. And that was something that honestly was the catalyst in me wanting to ensure that I didn't spend any more days of my life not doing the things that I knew I was meant for. And it was interesting because I think when you become a parent for the first time, there are obviously many life changes that happen in general. Your schedule is just simply different. It's, interesting because I think that I, dove in more to doing things outside of the day-to-day once I was a mom. Before I, when I didn't have her, I was like, it was easy to just kind of do nothing outside of my day job, etc. It certainly was this massive point in my life where I was like, okay, I have to make a decision to pursue something that I had always wanted to pursue. I knew that I was going back on mat leave when I was, post 12 months, I was supposed to go back. And I just had made it my mission to not have to do that. I said to my husband, if I could create something that at least replaced my income, would you be on board? And he was like, of course. And so the stepping stone there was, I basically kind of hit rock bottom, is what I call it, where I had my first daughter. And then I was in that phase of 6 months postpartum, not really sure what what it meant to exist as me anymore. I had kind of quote unquote lost myself in motherhood, but also found myself in this beautiful way. And I went to a mindset seminar when she was about 5-6 months old. And within a couple of days after that seminar, I had hired that same coach. And I honestly didn't even know what I was getting myself into. And it was a lot more money than I had to be spending at the time, but I also didn't really have any other options. And I think I just needed someone else to believe in me at that point. And it changed everything for me. I kind of always had this inkling that I was meant for more, but never had the self-confidence to take action on it. And so in the beginning of working with her, I actually didn't have a plan in what I was going to do. I just knew that I didn't want to have to go back to my corporate day job. And for me, it was more so about being able to remain flexible for my daughter and bring her to school and pick her up from school. And I just quickly realized that even their doctor's appointments, I'm like, how do we do this? Yeah. How do we do this all? And so that coach had said to me, she's like, your desire for your day to day and the income that you want to make to replace your past salary, she's like, that's easy. She's like, that can be your monthly. And I was like, whoa, lady. I was like, if this could just be my yearly, we're good. But she was so sure and so confident that I felt called to pursue it full on. And that is leading into the real estate side of things. I had said to her, I said, I want to make 100K by the end of this year. And she was like, okay. Again, she kept saying that's easy. I was like, all right, I'm going to do the work until it's easy. Again, not by coincidence, but because I was full on in this work and I was simply just trusting the process. That's honestly all I had left to do, especially because I had spent a lot of money on it, on a Visa card. And I was like, I have to go all in on this because I need to be held accountable. So we got a call one random day, and it was actually one of my family members who was selling a home of their parents. And they were like, do you guys want any of the furniture? And we were like, no, we don't need any furniture. Thank you so much. But like, what are you doing with the house? Anyways, we got the house and that was the first house. And sure enough, like I'm genuinely not making any of this up. And it's wild when you're in this like universe manifestation alignment world. And we can talk more about that as the conversation goes on, but what that really means. But I made with Jordan, we made $107,000 from that transaction within 4 months. That paid for not only my coaching, which was $7,000, but $100,000 was what I had wrote on that goal card. And it was like, it was life-changing. Like we got ourselves into a position where we could then, invest into another property. And then it was just absolutely wild how that all happened. But I really don't believe that call would have ever been made to us. Like had we have not just like taken a leap of faith with me going all in on like trusting that hiring a mindset coach would align me with the stars. Like it was all Jordan's work with his hands, doing the actual work at that point because I was, with Layla and whatnot. But it was wild. And that was kind of the catalyst for our real estate investing journey. But at that time, like we didn't think that we were going to ever do more. We were just like, okay, this feels like we like got back, whatever we were in. And that it was like a starting point to start fresh. But then lo and behold, it was just like within a couple of months, another opportunity came up and our accountant was like, you're going to have to start a holding company. Like you said this was a one-off. And we were like, we didn't know. And then sure enough, like it just kept happening. And I truly trust that nothing happens by coincidence. It's all meant to be. And now we've done 10 flips in the last 6 years, but on paper, like
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So
Thank
I think
you.
it's so interesting because we've talked to a few different guests at this point, and I feel like everyone kind of mentions this point before they start a new business or open their own clinic or whatever. And they're like, I was at rock bottom and I basically threw myself into it and everything happened how it was supposed to happen. But while you were doing that, so you started with real estate, were you still were you dabbling in social media as well at the time? How did all the other things come about?
It actually happened quite naturally with us doing that first house flip. I decided to document and share the journey on socials. Initially, I was using my personal page as an outlet, like as a way to, I kind of started a mommy blog, and it was just my way to, write out what I was feeling and then connect with other moms. I didn't really have a massive community of friends who were moms at the time, simply because of the stage of life we were at was just a little bit earlier than our group of friends. And so that was one way for me to connect with people, was using my social platform. Then when we did this first flip, I would, take little videos. I've got them all saved on a hard drive. I watched them back a couple months ago with Jordan. It's really cute to see. But like I would do little videos every single week, every single Sunday. I would do an update on the house flip. And it just I don't know, it just kind of stuck, where we were showing up online. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, I mean, this presence feels like, I just kept growing those connections with people behind the scenes. And I didn't really know what it was all for in the beginning. I just kept going with it because it felt good. It felt good to connect. It felt like people were always excited to see the updates. And I'm like, okay, well, like if I'm inspiring other people, I guess like it felt good to show up. And how it started on the agency side of things was really all the while I was still with this coach, and she put out an ask within her group for some VA support, for reach outs for PR things, and, just helping her with events and some marketing copy, etc. And so she put out the ask within the coaching cohort because she wanted someone who knew the material she was teaching to support the efforts, because that makes sense. And I was like, I volunteer, like all the while I'm still on mat leave. So I was like, but we'll have to figure out compensation a different way. We did. And it really set the tone for how I loved to support someone. Like I was like, okay, this is my first real chance at like seeing the inside of a successful, CEO's business, how things are set up. And also just like learning her pain points and where she wanted to optimize things. And I just said yes to everything. Even if I didn't know how to do it, I'd be like, I don't care. I'll like take a course. Like I don't even need, like, I won't stress her out with any of that. I'll just figure it out. And so it was this really unique opportunity for me to learn like the operation side of things behind, an entrepreneurial personal brand that was growing. Once that support was established, people in her community who I was in groups with also are entrepreneurs. And then they started asking me for support. And so it just naturally happened that the ask initially was VA stuff. Like, can you help me organize? And I was like, yeah, of course. And so I did that, like online stuff, system stuff. And then it was naturally marketing asks, because again, this was about, 6-7 years ago. So everyone was like, should I be on socials? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then I took a social media course. I took a sales course. Like I did everything I could to hire out to keep growing my knowledge. And by this point I had made pretty good connections in my personal brand. I had started dabbling in some UGC stuff, even 6-7 years ago. And again, it looked a lot different than it does now, but yeah, it quickly became a passion because I loved the part of it where I got to help people get clear on what it is were offering and why, and then being able to help them create a message and visuals around that for their socials. And I just loved the potential outcome of helping them get so clear on it that their message could be potentially seen globally. You never know with socials, and helping them grow and expand their reach. A lot of times people, I think, know what they have is special and unique, and but it doesn't make it easier to talk about that online necessarily. And I think that it's unique when you have a different perspective, being able to hype you up and just showcase what is really awesome and getting down to the roots of it. So yeah, it naturally turned into marketing, and I freelanced until I had my next child.
That's amazing. So you wear a ton of hats. How do you balance all of your identities?
Yes. Okay. So this is actually a unique thing that I'm also in a year of exploring, because that is something that often comes up when I'm in conversation with people. And I want to, first and foremost say that I think a lot of the conversation when you're an entrepreneur or starting to build something is like, you got to niche down. Like, who are you talking to? And you better only talk to them. And I was coached. Like I hired the people and I was like, I am coachable. I will listen. And every single one of them, that was the story. And I just like, I could never get on board with it because I'm like, I just felt too boxed in, and it didn't serve me. Like I would actually like, I would get unmotivated by trying to like only speak to one person. And so I have, kind of had this identity then that's come about of like wearing a lot of hats. And I think that it's one of those things where I've just come to terms with over the last few years, where I have really made sure that they're intentionally intertwined and that I'm doing things that are aligned with what I desire to do. I think balancing it all for me has really meant being aware of where I am most valuable in each of those pathways in each season of business. I think being okay with being flexible of like what my role is in each of those things, and being okay with delegating and asking for help has been a major reason why I've been able to quote unquote like wear all the hats and keep them going, but also being fully transparent. Like not all of them are like going at 100% with like all things firing at all times. Like they're all always operational, but a lot of them like support one another. I don't have to stress about being a realtor and getting my next deal and helping the next buyer or seller, because I do have other avenues of income. And so for me, it's actually been this way where I don't stress about any of the hats, because I'm like, okay, if this season is slow, because naturally this industry slows down in this season, then that's okay. There's other revenues. So I think that is also like part of how I manage it, is like just accepting the ebbs and flows of each season. And so being able to ask for help, outsourcing where needed, really starting to understand what I liked what I liked doing in each of those areas, expressing it, and not worrying about it not being at the peak performance of what it could be.
I think that's really important to highlight, because I feel like a lot of people that are putting themselves on social media, or not even say just like dabbling very surface level, but they're still a business owner. A lot of people are very hard on themselves and expect that everything has to be 100% all the time, and don't give themselves enough grace to just let things happen how they should. I mean, granted, being a business owner is a lot of work, and it can be very scary, especially when you're investing a lot of money into yourself and your business. So I totally get that, but just it's important for people to know that it's okay that you can't function at 100% every
all
single
the time.
day.
Yeah, definitely. I think this past year has really shown me what it means to actually be successful in each of those areas too. I think that's kind of why there has been seasons where I will pull away if I'm not feeling connected to being able to convey the right message in one or another of those areas. I really want to make sure that the presence that I'm bringing forward is one that makes people feel like inspired versus like they're doing everything wrong. And I think that there has been seasons where it's like I forget that the foundational pillars that I've set of like my boundaries, or like when I'll do calls, or like what days I set aside for certain things, or that I have an assistant, or that we had a nanny. I mean, she's here and there now, but the kids are in school, so it's just different. And I'm just like, I think that I got so used to like setting the pillars of foundation of support for our home so that I could show up in the business and then like get to be a mom when it was time to turn off. I didn't have to like do things like the laundry or dishes. Like we had support for that stuff. And so I forgot to like share some of those things at the time because I wasn't doing it all. And I think that, you know, to your point of like, how do I manage it all? The simple answer too is that like, I don't manage it all myself. I do outsource. And there has been seasons where I'm like, it is more valuable for me to literally like spend any dollars on outsourcing certain parts of it so that I can, you know, stay in this part. And at the end of the day, if I'm building all of this and I can't spend time with the kids or can't pick them up from school, et cetera, then this isn't even worth it. So just making sure that the core value of why you started it all remains true. And I think like that part of the messaging when you do show up on socials of like, here's how it's all happening. I've tried to do it all and stay up until 3 a.m. And then I had health issues. And then that also doesn't help with relationship stuff because then you're so tired. And I just trust that when it is meant to happen, it will happen. So the people that I'm working for, I'm like, I will go all in for you. If you are here, I am here for you. But like, I don't seek it because I'm like, if I seek it, I feel like that's when I'll be like, you know, maybe not giving it my full, my full attention. And that's certainly not how I want to show up. So I'm just like, all right, it'll show up when it's meant to. And I think that allows it to flow naturally.
You briefly touched on the pain points that you got to experience while working for a CEO, and you briefly touched on them now, but was there anything that really stuck, whether it was in real estate, social media, or even something that was a pivotal moment that you were kind of like, I don't know if I want to continue this. Like, is it worth it?
Okay. So when I was working with the CEO, actually it came full circle because she ended up being one of our social media clients like a few years later. And I think it's an overarching answer where we have worked with a lot of business owners, like at that CEO level, et cetera, within the agency. And where I had to get clear in the last like year and a half, 2 years really was the breakdowns that were actually happening within my team and where they were stemming from, because I'm like, I am a systems girl. Like we've got the systems, et cetera. And like, I noticed that I started to allow my boundaries to be pushed of what I would say yes to, that then got allowed into the agency. And a lot of what was happening was the pain point of the CEO, entrepreneur, et cetera, not being fully clear or aware of their pain points and their breakdowns. Because social media, when we talk about that, that's like the front facing thing. And this is like organic social media. So not boosted posts or paid ads. That's a whole different ball game, which we do take care of as well. But I really think that it's important to have a strong organic social media presence first and foremost. But I was starting to get all of this stuff basically on my table within the agency of pain points from my team being like, the client won't answer. They won't approve their posts on time. They won't give me, the content that we're asking for, that like, again, a lot of these teams had someone internal capturing the content, then we'd edit, et cetera. There's lots of different setups. And the overarching thing, every time I stepped in, I would have a conversation with a business owner. Every single time it was like personal stuff that was going on, or like, oh my gosh, the sales team isn't doing this, this, and this. And like, I can't get a hold. And so then it would never be a social media problem, but it would always come back to the social media manager not doing something, or, I really don't like the post lately, or da, da, da. And it was all because of something deeper. So I started working with a lot of our clients on a coaching level, which would then help me unlock a lot of stuff that I could tell the social media manager. And then we would get better results on socials. All of a sudden we'd unlock the real things that were going on. To answer your question about the pain points, and this is more like overarching that I'm seeing now, is that there's a lot of entrepreneurs that I think get used to the day to day. Like let's even myself, I'll use myself as an example. It's like you're doing the things, you're growing the team, you know, and you just keep adding and doing and adding and doing. And you can easily forget to pause and remember why you started it all. And so then things can come up like health issues because you're all of a sudden, you know, 12 a.m. becomes 1 a.m. and then 2 a.m. and then 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. And you're like, what? I'm getting up at 7 with my, like, what
am I doing?
And exactly. And so it's, you know, when people then are asking for support and I'm getting on a lead call, they're like, we need a social media presence. And I'm like, okay, so like, tell me why you feel like you need socials. And they're like, well, we just have to be on social media because, you know, someone told me to. I don't really want to. And I'm like, well, then this isn't a good, like, this isn't a good use of your money. And so it really isn't about any of that stuff. It's like, it's not a Band-Aid solution to like a foundational problem, your social media accounts. It's not going to fix something foundational, whether it's personal or an internal systems flow. And so it's a really strong reminder that like, we do have to really focus on taking care of ourselves as, you know, as like an entrepreneur or someone who's pursuing anything. We have to at some point allow ourselves to put ourselves first, because like at some point or another, there will be a breakdown if we're not going to prioritize that, because we can easily forget why we started it all. And then I think we start making decisions that we're just like throwing something at the wall and hoping that it sticks. Ultimately, though, it comes back to me, because if I am faltering in my health, in my ability to like focus as a leader and call in the right clients and have the messaging proper and answer, etc., then I will ultimately falter at what gets let in. And then the whole system can, you know, it's not something that like you can just quickly undo either, especially in an agency model, because we're serving people month over month. I really, 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 really want people to win. And I want people to feel like they deserve to win.
But it's so refreshing because like you are such a genuine, kind person. And I mean, obviously we're all kind of like the same person, witchy woo woo manifestation, like all that stuff. But even if you don't believe in it, like at your core, you are such an amazing person. And it is so nice to be able to have this conversation. And just even in clinic, when you're just like giving me insight, it's so clear that you literally just have the best intentions for everyone that you speak with.
We love that.
Thank you. I really appreciate
that.
Resonate with thank you.
Tell me, what are some non-negotiables for anyone trying to grow a personal brand that actually converts and aligns with their soul?
I love that. Okay. I think first and foremost, getting clear on like actual branding itself. So we'll just briefly touch on it because it is important.
Yeah.
I know. And like, honestly, I'm not even the one who actually like, you know, builds your logo and gets all your hex codes and all that stuff. I mean, it can certainly help to guide you to someone who could. And I mean, I could if I needed to, but the thing is I'm not actually classically trained in being a brand developer. However, I fully understand and know the importance of it, because it is the foundation of then how we would create messaging ultimately on social media, you know, within your visuals. It pertains to then how you would do a brand shoot. So like, just don't get too far unless you really do have that established. And, you know, if you can work with someone who is seasoned in that area. I can tell you right now that there is 1,000,001 ways to do it yourself. And that is absolutely not the wrong way. If that is what you are feeling called to do, honestly, lean into AI to like ask it questions and be like, if I was going to start a brand, you know, and this is who I want to serve, you know, these are the types of things I want them to feel. What color palettes would elicit that? Like, I don't know. That would honestly be my advice. If you're like, okay, I am going to DIY this, but I'm going to do it as intentionally as possible. Like do that, but utilize tools like AI to really help you maybe just get this overall foundation that is conducive of allowing you to create a message that is seen and felt by the people you want it to be seen and felt by. It just like breaks my heart when people have like the best messages and the best services and the best products. And I'm like, oh my goodness, but like that color ain't gonna ever speak to your ideal client. And like it does matter. And you know, I know that there's a major component of strategy as well. But I mean, visuals do matter. And ultimately that does start with the foundation being strong. The more that you think about it, the more clear it will become to you what is like the thing that you want to answer it as. And then that will then help you to build the rest of it. I think that's just a non-negotiable. Yeah. And yeah, just getting really clear on also your desired day-to-day. I know that seems a little bit backwards, but to me, the example that I often come to is there's lots of people who will go to nursing school to become a nurse, and that's what they're meant to do, is to be a nurse. And then they all of a sudden do the things, they get the job and every, you know, the degree check mark, but then they're working shift work, and something that they never desired to do, but they want to be a nurse. They just don't want to work shift work. So it's like, okay, let's reverse engineer this then. Like, what do you want your day-to-day to be as a nurse? And I've actually like helped a few nurses reverse manifest their like dream day-to-day. But that example to me it's just a prominent one where it's like you can have like the job title or serve in the industry that you want to serve in and have it be the way that you desire your day-to-day to be. Because ultimately, if you get the career you want, or you're serving who you want to serve, or maybe if you've created a product, etc., but your day-to-day is like completely opposite of what you actually wanted to manifest, then inevitably there's going to be hurdles that come up on that path, and you are not going to want to get through them. So to me, right, where it's like, oh, it feels easy. Like when people talk about their like massive schedule, et cetera, feeling easy, it's because they've built it in a way that serves what they wanted for their day-to-day. That doesn't mean that it's a day-to-day that you want, but it just means that they've reverse engineered it. And the way that they get to serve people and thus earn money is a way that actually serves them to be able to stay at their highest energy and serve you. Because if I'm building a business that is overworking me, I'm actually going to be doing the complete opposite of what I wanted to do to serve my clients. So do think about your day-to-day. Like before you even think too much about the what. Like I didn't know that I was going to build a social media agency. I have a biology degree, but I was like, I want to, you know, be at home and make 100K. Like that was the only thing I said when I started. I thought I was actually going to be a relationship coach. I don't know where that came from.
But like, it's kind of like the same thing. Like, I feel like, I mean, you wear a lot of hats, CEO, all the things, but I feel like at your core, you do a lot with helping people on a daily basis. So like they're kind of all related. Like you are fulfilled when you are passing along knowledge and just allowing people to have the same resources that maybe you didn't have when you were at the same point that they're at.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing. Building on the foundational peer part, you go a lot into your why. How do you recommend someone gets clear on like their why and their message?
I love this question. Okay. So I think that one of the first things that I will do if I'm working with someone one-on-one, say, I will start to talk to them about their goals and their day-to-day. We'll start with that work back. Most of the people, when we initially start, will say, I have no idea. I don't know what I want my day-to-day to look like. And so then we start to go a little bit deeper. And to me, that is your intuition. And so a lot of people, I believe, we quiet our intuition over the years when, you know, it will say something loudly like, oh yes, like say yes to that. Like, that's so exciting. And then we say no. And then all of a sudden it's this little part of us. It's like, you can think of your intuition as like a little character. It's just like, okay, well, like I told you and you said no. So like, fine. Mm-hmm. And then the next time you like say no, but you should have said yes, or you say yes when you should have said no. And so over time, I believe that this little intuition is finally fed up. They're like, I'm not gonna then give you the signs. Like, sorry, I'm not gonna give you the signs. And I think that then stops us from being able to really understand our why when we can't hear our intuition anymore because we simply haven't listened too many times and it got annoyed. So the first thing that I start to work on people with is simply asking yourself questions to reignite that intuition. And what I mean by this is literally everything in your day to day, right from the tea or coffee that you're choosing, and whether you're making that at home or buying it at your favorite coffee shop. Ask yourself, what do I actually want this morning? And like, give your intuition a chance to like, be like, oh, you're like talking to me again. And then like, you know what? I want the biggest Starbucks latte ever or whatever. Like, I don't know. And then you say, hey, you know what? Honored. Like, granted, I'm not counting calories. I don't care. I'm going to get there. I'm going to go out of my way or whatever. And then all of a sudden you get that thing. And then your intuition is like, wow, like, you asked and I said, and you did the things. And that's like, it's tiny, but it's big in an energetic perspective. And to me, asking yourself questions a million times a day and really just starting to see if you can feel an answer. And to me, once we can reignite our intuition is when it will start showing us the signs of like, okay, why are we doing what we're doing? Whether that's in our current position, or why do we desire something different? Maybe it's because we want to, a change of our day to day, or maybe because we've had a change of season, like becoming a parent, or I don't know, lots of things. And so I think that allowing us to have that intuition, giving us feedback again, and also taking action on it is a big factor in being able to understand our why. And I think that the why doesn't come at the beginning. I think that it is subconsciously something that we are wanting to like come to, like, what's my purpose? What's my why? I think that as we start to do what we feel called to do, we start to get these like overwhelming feelings of like either butterflies or like shivers. And like, those are the types of things that if we give ourselves a minute to be like, oh, like, amazing. Like, this feels so good. Like, I'm so grateful for that. Thank you. And like acknowledging it, acknowledge the universe, acknowledge yourself. Like, good job me for going to get the coffee that I wanted this morning and not talking myself out of it for one reason or another. And when we start to do that, it allows us to build this story of what lights us up and what really feels like us. I feel like my why didn't actually come to me for, I feel like I'm just actually getting clear on it in the last few years, like really, really clear. I feel like I've known certain things, but like I just put in my email signature, like brand hype girl. And like, I feel like a hype girl. Like I literally want to see you win. Like, I just want people to know that like they deserve to have a desire, and then that you like deserve to pursue it. And like that's not like a university degree title. And there was a whole bunch of mindset stuff that I had to do to believe that I deserved to put that on my email signature. Right. So I was just like, this is the part of it though. We've got to like make best friends with our intuition again. And I think it's as simple as allowing yourself to ask yourself questions. You might not have the answer for like maybe the first week. Your intuition is like, no, like, and maybe you genuinely don't have an answer, right? Like, but eventually, I promise you, it usually doesn't take that long to like start actually feeling things, and you will notice if it's a good feeling or a bad feeling, and then like allow yourself to name it. Like every time I feel good, it's like in my tummy or in my hands, I get excited, or like every time I feel bad, it's like a tightening in my chest. And then it becomes like really habitual and subconscious. When something happens, you just have a feeling, and then you're like, you got to start to honor it though. That's the part that like allows you to get to a why, is actually honoring what your body is very loudly telling us when we allow it to.
Damn, I love intuition.
I know, seriously, that's so beautifully said.
So good.
It is, because
I love that.
Like when you're not aware of it,
yeah,
at such a deep and self-aware level, and it's very introductory to your life, it's subconscious and you don't know why it's happening.
Feels
and then,
foreign.
Yeah, you're like, what's going on? But it's so interesting that basically ask and you shall receive, and show gratitude for what you have received, and trust that you are where you are meant to be at this exact moment, and everything happens for a reason.
We say
like
this
truly
all the time.
Yeah. It's how we talk each other off of the ledge.
Off a ledge, yeah.
Always. You're meant to be, no, you're where you are meant to be at this very moment.
Sometimes I hate those text messages from you, because I'm like, I just want to jump over the ledge.
You're like
please
just
let me. And you're like, where we're meant to be.
Yeah.
That's right. I think, it's a beautiful way to like transition into the fact that there's a lot of people who are like, oh my gosh, I'm so close, but then, this happened and this happened and this happened. And I actually do think that there is a part of the universe that likes to test us in a way that's like, okay, you've made it this far. I'm going to like send one more big whammy your way, and I'm going to see if you really want what you say you want. And I think that like in a lack mindset or in a negative energy state, say, there was certainly a version of me where I would see a roadblock and I'd be like, well, then this isn't meant for me. Like, I'm going to trust the universe, and like, this isn't meant for me. But if your intuition is awake enough, it will be a different feeling when those hurdles show up, where it's like, I'm just like so annoyed right now because like, I know this is for me. So I didn't want to have to do this again and like, get over something else. But like, here we go, because I know what's on the other side of this is meant for me. I think it's like a really ick feeling. And it's like, you just start to know yourself. And this is the part of it though, is that I think we don't give ourselves enough credit. I think we have been conditioned to follow rules and
downplay your success
plans.
Or like downplay the things that you're looking to do in your lifetime.
Exactly. And, especially when you start to step outside of your comfort zone and share it on socials, oh gosh, like you got to do the mindset work before you do that, because like one comment will take you sending your business off of socials. Like you'd be like, nope, delete the profile. But like, if you do the mindset work, you're like, okay, well, that's obviously them, that's their stuff, and that's okay. But I think that those hurdles are things that are put in our path to make sure that we are ready for what's on the other side. And also it's protecting the timing of when it comes to us. I think if it's really not meant for us and a hurdle comes up, then you'll know, as long as you're making friends with your intuition again. But I think it does feel easy to get through the hard when you are moving towards something that is meant for you. That's the whole point of it, is building something that is truly meant for you. Because then when hurdles come up, it's like, well, damn, this is annoying, but like, I know that this is meant for me, so I'm going to do it. Like, just what's my next one step, right? Like one step at a time. You don't have to know like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And as someone who was like type A, planner, etc., I'm actually realizing that I'm like not type A at all, which is a very interesting recent realization. And it's like, I'm having
realization recently.
I'm like having a little identity crisis, and everyone in my life is
A, B, and C, and C is a mix of A and B, and that is I.
You go through seasons.
Yes.
Yeah. There was a TikTok I saw a couple weeks ago that was like, POV, like you've been labeled as, you know, A type your whole life, but you are really like C type with like ADHD. And like, to me, that's literally me. Like that actually is me. And so it's interesting though, because, I like to think of it like, if I did plan it all out, you know, 1 to 10 steps, and then at step 2, I all of a sudden, you know, maybe I went to a conference or maybe I went to the grocery store and someone dropped their keys in front of me and I picked them up and it was like the exact person I needed to get to technically at step 9, let's just say, because the universe was like, I'm going to place them here right now and see what you do with it, ma'am. Right. And so like, had that not happened, you know, I would have technically wasted energy planning steps like 3 through 9, when really like step 2 actually quantum leaped me to step 9. And so like the planning is actually unnecessary. The point is that we don't get to know the how, we just need to know the what. So if you can focus on what you're moving towards, the universe will place the how in front of you only if you are willing to be open enough to receive it. You have to feel that you are deserving of the steps and the clarity. Like, it's not like things are just being handed to people that are manifesting. They're like doing all of the work to remain exactly at the energetic level that would like receive all of those ideas and those opportunities. So like, it looks easy and it looks like, wow, must be nice for them. But they're doing the hard work that's like deeper and the habitual work day to day that honestly people, I think, shy away from because it opens up lots of cans of worms.
Yeah, manifest, but do the work.
So, manifestation does not work if you don't.
Exactly, period. Tell them, queen.
Yeah.
So, what do you wish more women believed about themselves?
I wish that people believed that they can actually live a life that they desire to live and that they do deserve to dream. Like, it starts there. I genuinely feel like there are a lot of women who do feel called to something else, but, you know, their habitual ways of living, to no fault of their own, have just, you know, put them in this spot where it feels comfortable not making a leap and not being loud. And, you know, asking questions in today's society puts you in a box that is like, I don't even want to go there. It's crazy.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people are just like, if you have a dream or somewhere that you want to go that you see for yourself, like you're automatically labeled Delulu. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But it's like, I mean, I guess a little bit of what we're talking about is kind of fake it till you make it, but obviously do the work and build the support. But I feel like sometimes that's such a negative way
you
to
need
think.
To be a little delusional to have these massive goals.
And you have previously said that, you know, when you're setting these goals, if they're not big enough or if they don't scare you, then they're not big enough. So I guess, yes, you tie into, you have to be a little bit delusional, but sometimes I feel like it's used in a negative way against people that have big goals.
Exactly. And I think that the important thing to remember is that when people are, you know, starting to step outside of the norm, so to speak, it's more a reflection of people who are saying those things, or, you know, in feedback that you're getting, they're looking at their own stuff that they haven't taken action on. And it's easier for them to project on other people. I think we've all kind of heard that concept in one way or another, probably, but it remains a foundational concept in why people stay small. Because I think when we are going on a journey where we're like, okay, I'm ready to step outside of my comfort zone to actually figure out who I am, which is a whole other interesting topic. Like we do the day to day and we think that it's comfortable, but it's it's actually like not even who we are. Like if we just allowed ourselves to think about what we wanted. But I think it scares people because then they're like, all right, I'm ready. But then they're like, I have literally no idea who I am. I literally, like, by the time people get to the point where they are like, all right, I see what you're talking about. I don't fully understand it yet, but like, take me on the journey. They're like immediately met with like, I have no idea. Like, what am I good at? And so I think that I really want to like drive home the message, I guess, that like, you're not going to have it all figured out even 7 years in. So like stopping yourself on day 1, minute 7 that's not helping you either. Like, I question myself all the time, but that's also how I figure out who I am and what I'm doing and what I'm offering. And that is why brands shift, messaging shifts, offerings shift. Like, we can't know who we're meant to serve and how we're meant to serve them if we don't just try. Like, that's quite literally how you figure it out. When I started in all this, like I said, I was helping that coach with like, you know, PR stuff and email organization, and it turned into marketing. And that's what ended up being a passion of mine that I would have quite literally never known I had. And if I wouldn't have just taken the steps that were appearing in front of me that did feel, you know, aligned for me at the time, I was okay with it not being like having it all figured out type of decision. But I was like, it feels good right now. And all I'm going to do is just say yes, because I know it feels good right now. I don't know what the heck this is leading to, but it feels good. And so I think those are the stepping stones that when you're in this limbo phase of like, all right, I'm going to try, because I'm going to do what you say. And I'm going to believe that I do get to have the life that I desire. Then those are the types of things that will ultimately lead you to clarity. And so I just want people to know that they like you genuinely deserve to like wake up every day happy. Like, that's like a basic human right. You do get to have it all. And like,
you hear that?
It's not selfish to have it all.
You hear that? You get to have it all.
Amen. Like, genuinely. And I think that scares people when you say that, because it's like, well, why do you need it all? And like,
why do you deserve
you gotta
it?
like just, yeah. And it's like, because you do too. Like, you do too. You just don't believe it yet. Like, literally, like, I genuinely believe that. And I think like we surrounding ourselves with people also who just will hold space for us in every season. You know, we do have to be really mindful about our environment and where we're spending our time. And I think some people are meant to be on our journeys for certain seasons, and then they're meant to vibe out. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be a good or bad thing. It's like, okay, that person served that season really well. What lessons did I learn from that? What can I take from that? Like, how do I take the ownership on me? And like, really taking ownership for all of your lived experiences, and like sending gratitude to those experiences, whether or not they were, you know, technically heavy energy. They've led you to the awareness that you have now. And like, I just don't want people to feel like their day to day has to be hard. Like, it doesn't have to be hard. If you want things, there's so many unique ways that you can get them. I think that is also an important lesson, is that when you're seeking things, don't expect them to come to you exactly how your mind is
asking for them,
kind of picturing. It might come a different way, if that makes sense.
So what's next for you? What are you manifesting or calling in this season?
That is such a good question. And my team keeps asking me.
They actually just asked you that question.
Yeah, we got.
I know. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I bet. They're like, "Ooh, what is she gonna say?" I have essentially like outsourced everything I can outsource in each of the pillars, whether it's real estate or the socials, and like our short-term rental, etc. And I'm learning where my role is. I really like being in the creative role where I get to like help with messaging and curate offers, but where I mostly love is coaching. And I like to be able to have that one-on-one time, whether it's with an entrepreneur or serving, their teams, their brands. I want to spend more of my time doing this type of stuff like podcasts. So thank you so much for fulfilling part of my goal.
I love that.
I want to hopefully have my message get out to more people. I really wanted to be able to create space so that I can show up more, but authentically, like not like, oh gosh, I have to show up now because I have time. Like I just genuinely wanted to be able to share more of what goes on behind the scenes so that people can have a more realistic view of the fact that it's all attainable if they desire it, but also that like you might not actually desire my life if you knew my day to day. I want to do the coaching thing a lot more. And that's what we're going to be leaning into. I've always done it. And it's interesting because what I call my paradigm, or just my habitual way of thinking is just that like, I had to do a lot of work to believe that I could share it online. Sharing in the agency has always felt easy because I was like, oh, it's a service, it's a brand, like I'm behind it, but sharing the coaching has been a whole other, journey for me to go on internally of like exploring why I didn't feel worthy of like sharing that service, even though I've always offered it. And like people in my world have known, but like not on social. So that, and then also just really being able to actually integrate like healthy habits in my day to day where I am actually getting rest at night, where I'm like feeling okay to like put my phone away and not like organize content and like watch a movie without feeling like I need to do something, like make a reel. Like I literally don't have to, but my brain is like not okay not doing something. And so just like getting into that like lived experience of like, okay, like you have the people, you have the systems, things are flowing, like just like lean in and like enjoy it.
Take a moment.
And then like offering more free trainings, honestly, like I want to offer like at least a free masterclass a month. Like I want to do that. I want to get messages out to people who deserve to hear them. I know I'm not for everyone, but for the people that I'm for, I really believe that there's lived experiences that hopefully I've, already lived through that they don't have to, so that they can like quantum leap to the next level.
We had some technical difficulties. We're getting ready to close out the episode, but we're back. So if you're listening and you're like, what the fuck just happened? I don't know. It's our first time here. So anyways, not really sure where we ended off. I know you were kind of talking about what's next and HCC University. We love. We're signing up. But basically my heart stopped, so my train of thought is completely gone.
We're doing question of the day.
Yeah, so we're moving on to question of the day, which is something that we ask everybody, and everyone has to take a turn answering. So our question of the day is, what's your current obsession, a routine, ritual, product, or practice that's bringing you joy at this moment?
Reformer Pilates.
Ooh, hot girl season. Wow.
Yeah.
Reformer Pilates, without a doubt. It's so good. I've done a lot of different types of working out in my life, but also I had never like actually actuated some results until I tried Reformer Pilates and worked out less than I ever have in my entire life, but I've regulated my nervous system. And so like all of a sudden my like feet are grounded. Like I use my feet with every muscle in my foot. I've never been able to get into the state that I get into when I'm in a Pilates class, so much so that like I often will get in my vehicle and like cry after, like not because I'm like sad. I'm genuinely like unlocking like things that haven't been stretched or like things that haven't been like worked in so long, and I'm like releasing energy.
Mine's not as profound as yours was, but currently I'm enjoying the brown sugar iced latte from Tim Hortons. It's fabulous.
It's pretty good.
And I mean, it's not great.
Hey.
I'm drinking it a lot, and sometimes I'm drinking a lot of caffeine a day, which I don't normally do, but I feel like you have to balance your cortisol spikes with something beneficial. So I use my LED mask every single night, and they basically cancel each other out.
That's what I heard.
Mhm.
I actually heard that.
Yeah. That's
Perfect.
what I'm enjoying at this moment.
Yeah, there's a study. I love it. That's perfect. I love, and I will.
Yeah, please. The combination, you can't do one without the other.
You need both. What's my current obsession?
But I feel like you've
amazing.
been listening more to like yourself. I feel like you're always on go for everyone and everyone around you, but you've been so good at setting boundaries and just being with yourself and doing things that fulfill you.
My intuition has been screaming at me lately. We're going to have to do some tarot cards later.
So that's what we're doing with the rest of our night. Do you want to tell everyone where they can find you?
Okay, so on Instagram, my personal brand is at Shelby Hayle. So usually everything in that bio leads to kind of the marketing side of things, the short-term rental with Eco Bay. My husband is a contracting company, and then also real estate stuff. So if you go to at Shelby Hayle on Instagram, you can usually find your way to the other things. I am actually, I'm not sure exactly when this is launching, but whenever you're listening to this podcast, there might already be a container open for something that I'm launching with a friend called The Content Shift. And so, yeah, so you might make your way over to that container. We have a free masterclass happening next week where it's 2 days, and replays will be available.
There.
So even if you can't join live, like get the free replay.
Yeah,
thank you. Amazing. I'll send you the link. From there, I am going to be opening a container that's like a subsidiary of the Content Shift, where this summer we are going to work one-on-one with people in but one-on-one in a group setting. Yeah. And then having it where there's a brand shoot come the end of the summer. And then we're going to get your socials all ready together so that by the time September 1st long weekend rolls around, all your content is already scheduled for the busy September that we're always, placed in. And then there's some retreats coming up again pertaining to content stuff. So it's not just going to be a mindset retreat, but we're going to, So I'm just going to step into it. We've got the space, and it's the universe is Shelby, it's here. So I would love, love, love to connect with you if you are hearing this message. And I will book those calls to get on and just help you figure out what the next best step is for you, whether it is content support, or maybe it's actually just, bringing it back to mindset support. I asked my ChatGPT, I was like, hey, I'm on a podcast, based on what you know about me, what should I say as the wrap up? Because I'm ChatGPT friends with my ChatGPT. So here's what my ChatGPT is saying. Absolutely. Here's a line that sounds like you, Shelby, aligned, intentional, and so impactful. If you take one thing from this conversation, let it be this: you are allowed to want more, and you don't have to burn out to build it. I love that. Thank you for my ChatGPT. Amazing. So anyways, I wanted to see what my ChatGPT said to tell me to tell you guys. But yeah, thank you guys so, so, so much.
Okay. So we love you. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Honestly, it's been such a pleasure, ladies.
Yes. Comment, share, subscribe. We hope you all have a happy Monday, and we're so sorry for all the technical difficulties. Hopefully it doesn't make listening to this absolutely atrocious. So,
thank you.
Yeah, have a great Monday.